Well, hello everybody. Doug and Aleya again. And in this session, we want to talk about a concept that we've been kind of throwing back and forth with each other, which is what does it mean to do your inner work? I'm sure you've heard the phrase many, many times. People say, well, you should be doing your inner work, or, you really got to do your inner work, or before you can self-actualize, you've got to do your inner work. Well, what exactly does that mean? And what's the difference between doing inner work and outer work, whatever that is? So I'll start off and give you my thoughts, and then Aleya will jump in and give you her thoughts, and hopefully we can shed some light on this interesting topic that everybody throws about the phrase, but nobody really defines what it means. So let's talk about inner work versus outer work. Outer work is, at least in my opinion, and as I see it, involves your outer work, doing service work, and maybe working on your physical health. It could be physical exercise. It's stuff that's outside of your consciousness, physically outside, that you're doing. Either you're doing work for other people or you're doing work on yourself, such as dieting or weight loss or physical fitness, stuff like that. That's what I call outer work. Inner work has to do with building emotional competency and emotional resiliency. And the reason that we are forced to do our inner work is because almost all of us have come out of emotionally dysfunctional families. Not because our parents were bad necessarily, but because they were just ignorant, and their parents were ignorant, going back generations and generations about how to raise emotionally competent children. And I've talked a lot about emotional invalidation and how it's a pervasive, insidious form of abuse, especially for children. But the fact of the matter is that parents who are themselves emotionally incompetent and have not done their inner work to develop their emotional competency really are triggered by their children's emotions. And so rather than experience the anxiety that those triggers create, they tell their children not to feel. And so you'll hear phrases like, be a big boy. Big boys don't cry. Don't be a sissy. Don't be a girly girl. Or for girls, it's okay. It doesn't hurt. Be a big girl. Put on your big girl panties. All of these invalidating phrases tell children that it's not okay to feel emotions. And so they go through their childhood and adolescence never learning how to navigate their inner emotional experience, which is, from my perspective, a little bit nutty because we're 98% emotional and only 2% rational. So it's as if we are denying 98% of who we are as a human being. So for me, doing your inner work is going back and working on the childhood programming that stunted your emotional development, usually somewhere between 5 and 7 years old. This is a painful process because you have to go back and confront and experience the emotions that were repressed, that you repressed yourself for survival as a child. And you have to go back and re-experience all of those emotions as an adult, and so that you can understand them and process them, so that you can put them into context in your adult life. So let's take a real common one that I had to deal with for a long time, which is shame. Shame is really painful. And as a child, I experienced a lot of shame. And it led to a lot of attitudes and behaviors that were really, they weren't bad in this. What led to was arrogance, primarily, as a way of covering up the shame, which led to not great consequences for me in some cases. So how did I overcome this vast feeling of shame? What I finally learned to do, and I had some help along the way, is that I learned how to sit quietly in a private place where I wasn't going to be disturbed and bring up memories of shame and then just immerse myself in that emotion. I would try to explore it. I tried to make it as intense as I possibly could, and experience every aspect of shame. Ugh, it hurt. It was really awful. But I knew two things. I knew that until I had actually gone through and experienced all of the shameful memories and all of the shame emotions that were around all those memories, it would continue to sit in my unconscious and dominate my thinking and my behaviors and my relationships. So I knew I had to clear it. And the second thing I knew, because I've studied so much around emotions and neuroscience, is that these emotions only last a couple of minutes. So while I was in it, I felt like I was falling to the bottom of the sea. I was falling into this black hole that I would never come out of again. But I felt pretty safe and secure knowing that this was just an experience, an emotional experience inside of myself that would pass if I just sat with it. And I had to pass through it. I had to fall through that so-called black hole until I came out on the other side. And I couldn't let myself repress it. I couldn't suppress it. I couldn't ignore it. I couldn't run away from it. I couldn't deflect it. I couldn't defend against it. I just had to submit to it. And so I did. And after 3 or 4 intensive practices like that, the feelings of shame that dominated me for many, many, many decades began to abate until eventually it was all gone. And then I picked the next trigger that I had. I don't remember what it was. Maybe loss of connection, abandonment. Did exactly the same thing. And just worked through the emotions by sitting in it, calling it up, sitting in it, and just experiencing it, exploring it, and not resisting it until it finally passed. And then repeated that process until I was no longer triggered by it. So that was my inner work. Now, for everybody may have different kinds of inner work, and your inner work may be the kind of intense work that you need some counseling with, or you need a therapist or somebody to help you with. But for me, I didn't need that. Although I did have some help along the way, it wasn't. I didn't feel like people were guiding me. I didn't do this in the presence of a therapist. I did it all on my own, and it was the process that really helped me clear the emotional blocks from childhood to allow me to finally mature as an emotional adult and develop emotional competency. And so that's what I consider doing inner work. And it may vary for other people, but fundamentally what we are trying to do is get emotionally unstuck from where we were as children, deal with the negative emotions that we've experienced all our lives that have been plaguing us from childhood, and get to a place where we're in a balanced, compassionate, peaceful place within ourselves. This doesn't mean that I don't experience these kinds of emotions today. I do, but when I do experience them, it's like a knife slicing through water rather than a hot knife slicing through butter. There's no lasting scar. It just is. And I'm present enough to be able to recognize it, acknowledge it, be present with it, and just let it pass through me, because it's not who I am. So that is my definition of inner work. Aleya, what do you think?
Yeah, I want to spin off of that whole emotional piece, and then I'm going to backtrack a little bit and give a different framework for it. But we want to think about the emotions from my perspective, and the work that I've done with myself, with clients, is to explore the idea that emotions is your body's mechanism for evolving, for maturing. And when you hold a space for your body to feel the grief, to feel the fear, to feel the despair, and also you are a soul riding in the body, so we actually have two consciousnesses, which is a little bit of an advanced concept, but you are a soul that also has emotions, your body has emotions, and I think of emotions as energy in motion. And when we do our inner work, we're exploring what are the energies in motion, literally moving like a wave through you. When we shame ourselves, when we are shamed by others, or when we suppress it, or we say, I'm just going to have a stiff upper lip in this moment and just get through it, then essentially what we're doing is we're pushing the emotions down into the physical field. And then your body is going to have to process those emotions physically, which is not what your physical body is designed to do. Your physical body is designed to eat, to sleep, to reproduce, to experience pleasure, pain physically, but not process emotions. And so pathology starts to happen when we suppress the emotions. The body starts to process the emotions physically, and pain shows up, unhealthy behavior shows up. And so one of the techniques that I'll use with emotion, with the inner work, there's actually three practices that you could do. When you feel a wave of emotion, energy in motion, you could imagine being in an actual wave in the ocean. So if you're a surfer and you love surfing waves, just say to yourself, there's this wave of energy moving through me. Maybe it feels like fear or anger or grief or sadness or despair. I'm just going to let that wave move through me, move me forward and up to a higher vibrational ground. So essentially what you're doing is you're using this wave of emotion to change your vibration, which then changes your consciousness, it changes your behaviors, it changes your beliefs, it changes your magnetic attraction. So you use the wave like you're surfing. Another practice would be to feel the emotion and imagine being in what I call a kiddie pool, or a cold plunge, or a hot plunge. And you're in this small space in your imagination that has a liquid feeling to it. And but let it be really shallow, okay? Like 6 inches deep, a foot deep at the most. And you just actually start to move the body, and you just imagine sloshing around in your kiddie pool, sloshing around in the fear, in the grief, in the anger, sitting with it, but sloshing in your kiddie pool. And you're just like, I'm just going to have this sloshing kiddie pool moment. And you might even like cry a little bit, or make some tones, or wail, or or to use the sound to also help with the sloshing. And when you're in that sloshing experience of the emotion, you're not judging it, you're not pushing it down, you're not suppressing it, you're letting it move again, energy in motion that creates transformation. So that's another strategy. And then the last strategy that I actually just am playing with just in the last month or so is to imagine that every single emotion is like a thread. And you can use that thread to weave a web, to weave a platform. And again, we're not judging emotions as good or bad. It's just energy. And so if you're in this fear, or in your anger, imagine that you're using all of your threads of fear, all of your threads of anger, and you're weaving a web, a platform that creates a space that activates and holds the vibration of that which you're after. So a lot of the times we'll do the opposite of that which we're intending on mastering. We'll be in depression to go deep in and experience profound connection with our essence. And then we feel this lightness and this joy. Or we feel fear to cultivate courage or strength. And so play with the idea that every single emotion is a thread of energy, and you could use it to weave a vibrational web around you, and then intend to activate a very particular quality that supports you in your consciousness, in your journey, in your awakening. So those are 3 strategies that you could use when emotions arise. If you feel physical body pain, you might say, body, are you processing your emotions physically because you don't want me to take them, because you don't want to be shamed, because you really want to evolve, but you got to process it somewhere? What would it feel like, body, to process those emotions in your emotional field? Maybe you could be a volcano, maybe you could be wind, maybe you could be a wave, and literally take a form that helps you move that energy and embody a particular quality that you're after. So that's actually like a 4th strategy that you could use with emotion. So that's one way to do the inner work when the emotions arise. And I'm just going to backtrack a little bit and give a framework of when we're doing inner work. We want to do inner work, but we don't know how to do inner work, but now you have 4 new tools. Step 1, awareness. Well, actually, step 1, willingness. You are willing to ponder, shifting, growing, changing behavior. You want to learn. You don't want to stay in what you're in because it's gotten unbearable. So the unbearable is now triggering a willingness in you, which is good. And then step 2, cultivating awareness. Most people cultivate awareness by getting slapped with really uncomfortable situations. Slap, slap, slap. I just woke up and I'm aware that I'm doing something that's funky, that's dysfunctional, that's not healthy, that's harming myself, that's harming others. Don't like that, discordant, uncomfortable. And then step 3 is personal responsibility. This is a big nugget to swallow, where you've got this level of awareness, you want to shift, you want to change, and no one else can do it for you. People can give you tools and steps and guidance, but it's on your own inhale, it's on your time, it's on your own effort. And so it's this willingness to take personal responsibility for your journey, for your awakening, for meeting all of your own needs, which takes you out of being the victimizer cycle. And again, that's a big nugget. And most people who are in the victimizer cycle, feeling like a victim, feeling like a victimizer, it's intense, it's horrible, it's really uncomfortable. But one of the ways out of that, it's not the only way, but the way that I use with myself and with my clients is to explore the idea that you have the ability to meet all of your needs deep in your core at a vibrational level, a quality level. So when we want to be loved by other people, when we want to be respected and validated, appreciated, valued, explore the idea that that's not their job, that you get to take responsibility for that. And when you take responsibility for meeting your needs, you free other people up. It's not your job to value me. It's not your job to create a safe space for me. That's my job. When you take that responsibility back, you move into power. And then the inner work of being aware of your needs. When you have desires to have your needs met externally, and then you take a deep breath in and you go, I have this inner world. I have this light within me. I could feel safe inside. I could intend to activate a current of safety within me. I could meet my need for safety internally right now in this moment. And just start to try that inner work, practice, move, because that moves you into, again, a level of empowerment, a strong, coherent field, and then healthier ways of being. And that then results in greater self-love and greater self-worth and greater resilience. And then you're modeling the solution to others. I know this is a lot, but just play with maybe one piece that resonated in tonight's session, lesson, tools, coaching, and see if you start to notice a difference after a week or 2 or 3 weeks of being aware of where you have needs, looking for the needs externally, sloshing around in the emotions, riding the waves, going deep into it, knowing that you will come out the other side. Oh.